How y'all doing? I'm back here again with another video, and today I wanted to show you another little homebrew thing, or I guess it'll be the first of the homebrew projects. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a retro game console. Yeah. If you're like me and you grew up playing games, you like to play those games again. Mostly because I just like playing old games. I like playing me some Mega Man. I like playing me some old RPGs. And all you have to do, the very bare minimum that you probably don't have in your house to do this is a Raspberry Pi, which is like 35 bucks. Um, you may have to purchase some other things if you don't have some other the other hardware requirements, but generally the bare minimum you're going to need to spend to do this is $35, which is that's great. I'll spend $35 to set up a retro game console, um, and making use of a community made solution called RetroPie. RetroPie is essentially it's based on the Raspbian operating system that I showed you how to install in the how do we set up a Raspberry Pi video. And it's basically just that with a bunch of software and a bunch of pre-configured settings that allows you to operate the Raspberry Pi completely as a retro game console. This is going to be showing you how to do today. Before we get started, be sure to drop me a like, subscribe if you've been liking my videos, and with that, let me show you the goods. So, welcome to retropie.org. This is the site you need to go to both download the image you need to put on a device and to look at any documentation you may need for help on how to answer certain questions. So, first thing you're going to want to do is download the actual image. You'll notice that there are different ones for depending on what model of Raspberry Pi you have. They even have Raspberry Pi 4 now. They did say the Raspberry Pi 4 one is in beta, so it may not work 100%. So use that one at your own risk. These definitely work fine. The Raspberry Pi that I'm using for this is a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B Plus, I think that's what it is. So once you have that downloaded, I'm just going to walk y'all through the first installation process, which basically just helps you get started once you first got this installed. So the first part of this is going to be similar to what you would do with if you hear noises, that's the cat playing with a bottle cap. Similar to what you would do with a normal Raspberry Pi. And here's the hardware list that recommends you have. Some of these are required, some of these are not. You need a Raspberry Pi. You can get a case. The case is good if you're going to use this for a long time because it will help keep like dust and stuff out of it to make the electronics on the actual Raspberry Pi like last longer. I don't think you specifically need a micro SD card. You have to have something to put the operating system on, whether it's a micro SD, a USB. I imagine you can even just install it on like an SSD, something over USB or something. Something you have to install the operating system on and connect it to the Raspberry Pi. You need a HDMI cable to obviously plug it into a monitor or something so you can see what you're doing. The Raspberry Pi 3 newer and up have Wi-Fi built on them, so you either can just connect to Wi-Fi or connect to Ethernet. It does. I think the older Raspberry Pis you had to have like a separate add-on, like a little dongle to do it. Something to power it with. If you just have like a USB power dock, you could just plug it into that. And then a keyboard mouse is you need a keyboard to do some of the configuration if you want to start fine-tuning things. But the stuff that I'm going to show you, I don't think actually requires any keyboard use. And then you need a controller. This is the controller that I use for this. It's just like a janky little Logitech USB controller. I just had it laying around a long time ago, so I just plugged it in for this. So this is just walking through the whole how to actually put it on your like USB or micro SD. If you kind of want more of a demonstration of how to do that, I'll link a video up there that I've already done about how to set up a Raspberry Pi from nothing. So we're going to skip through this. So I actually already have one running over here, and I'm going to switch to it in a second. and I'll walk you through some of the stuff. So let me switch over to that. Yeah, okay, so I've already done some things to get this set up. So you notice it says it'll say the first time that you go to this that you're going to configure a gamepad. Well, I've already configured it, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. So, and also just in case you're wondering, after you've configured your gamepad, if you want to reconfigure it, if you just bring up the start menu and go to configure input, you can basically reconfigure it. And you gotta hold down A to start it. So you just gotta map everything. So D-pad, up, down, left, right, start, select. Now these, I think this is a little off because it says button A east. I don't know if this is just a thing over in the West, but on every controller in the West, the A button is actually the south button, not the east button. So I always follow what the actual button that says the map is, not the direction. So A, B, X, and Y. Left shoulder, left trigger, right trigger. Left thumb and right thumb. If you have a controller that you can push the sticks in as a button, that's what you do for these. And then up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. And the hotkey enable is important. Whenever you're actually in one of the games in the emulator, there are certain combinations of buttons you can press to do things like exit out, go back and forth through save states, load save states, save a save state, stuff like that. I think by default in all of the documentation, this is select, so I'll just save it on select. And it'll take a second to finish registering that. And then after that, you'll be taken here. Now, when you see this, I believe it even talks about this in the documentation, you will not see any emulators. And here's the hotkey stuff. So exit save, save state, load a save state, go back and forth, go into the RetroArch GUI, which is another thing entirely. Where are the systems? So by default, RetroPie only shows systems for games you've actually got like ROM, like you've actually put ROMs in for. By the way, I can't tell you where to get ROMs, but they're not that hard to find. I'll just tell you that. But I will show you where to put them once you have them. To set up Wi-Fi, you can go through this. If I go back over to the game capture, and we're in the RetroPie configuration, all you gotta do is go to this menu right here and set up your Wi-Fi connection. If you need to do like kind of general Raspberry Pi configuration, this is the utility for this. If you need to do like RetroPie specific configuration, so install additional emulators, set up more settings for sources to scrape data, like metadata for games. This is where you do that here. There's a file manager built in. Themes are fun. I'm going to go through themes with y'all if I can. That doesn't look like awful. You can configure Bluetooth. The splash screens are another like little this kind of customization thing. The splash screen is displayed when when like the RetroPie and a whole suite of stuff is like initially booting up. Like by default, I think it just shows the RetroPie logo, but there's some other neat little things that are on here. So assuming you have your internet set up and your controllers configured, you want to play a game, and let's assume you've acquired a game somehow, some way. I'm not going to ask you where you got it. Not going to ask me where I got mine. I'm going to show you where to put it. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Okay. Sure this okay. So there's two main ways that I typically put the ROMs on the Raspberry Pi. You can just you can just use like SSH and transfer them over with SCP, or you can I think by default this sets up Samba shares, and if you know how to use Samba shares, you can connect to them over the network and deposit them that way. But I will show you where to actually put them. So by default, you will be in the Pi users home directory, and if we just check it, there's a RetroPie and a RetroPie setup folder. So we're going to go in the RetroPie setup folder, and you will see four menus here. Menus, folders. The main one we want is ROMs. So we're going to go into ROMs. And if we look at this is all of the emulators that are, or these are all the like systems that we have emulators installed for. And you notice by default, there's a shitload already. This is already more than most of what I would ever use. And so you'll notice when you looked at my screen, there was one for the Sega Genesis. So I just grabbed a random ROM that I had off my like main retro Pi device that I use, and put it in here just to show you all where it is. And wherever you want to put a ROM, so let's say you have like a Super NES ROM, you have to put it in RetroPie, ROMs, and then Super NES. If you see a Super NES directory there, you'll just put it in there. There won't be anything in, that's not a command down, it's just, yeah. There's nothing in here for me because I don't have anything in here. Now, if I go into the Genesis directory, which you've also noticed, by the way, is linked to Mega Drive, because I actually didn't know this, apparently, that the Mega Drive, or the Sega Genesis was called the Sega Mega Drive in most other places. Fun fact I didn't know about till recently. And if we look in here, there's actually a game in here. This is actually a Sega Genesis game that I used to own called Wonder Boy and Monster World. I used to play the shit out of this game. It's like a little side-scrolling action RPG. You'll see a .bin and a .srm. So the .bin is the actual ROM, and the .srm was a file that was created when I started playing it, which I believe is just a save file, like the save data for the game. But this is where you put the ROMs once you have them. It would be in like RetroPie /ROM / whatever the system is, and then you put the ROM in there. So you got the ROM in there, so let's actually start one of these suckers up and see what it sounds like. So you're gonna go over to whatever thing you have installed, and you're gonna select it, and you're just gonna start. It takes some seconds to start. I think I have my audio set up correctly, I'm not sure. There may or may not be audio on mine, but you should have audio. And there's a little RetroArch notification. Sega! Yeah, but we got audio. Might be a little quiet though. So, I can just play the game normally. Blah, 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 text, So look, there we go. We are in a Sega Genesis game. Now, to get out of this, if we wanted to change games or do whatever, we have to refer back to the hotkeys. The most useful hotkey is definitely the exit one, which will be whatever the button is you bound for a hotkey, which in my case is select, and then start. So select start, boop, and we go back to the main menu. And that's it. That's all you gotta do to get started playing games. If you want to customize this some more, you can go to UI settings, and let's see. There's a list of themes here. You can install new themes. I believe, I don't remember if you set the splash screen here. I guess not. I think the splash screen is on the configuration stuff. Let's actually go to that real quick, because the themes are actually super cool. If they're viewable on here, I'm not 100% sure. It's a little tiny. So there's a bunch of themes here. I think you can download. Yeah, I think you can download and actually preview all these themes before you install them. Like you'll actually have to go. It's kind of an annoying process. You have to actually like go through this image gallery to see what themes there are for you that you want to download, and then you have to scroll through that big old list of themes to find the one that you would want and download and install it. On mine, I have this super nice looking like Super NES themed theme. It even has little sound effects. Some of the themes will also display different information. So you'll notice that the default theme here just kind of shows like the game name, and it doesn't really show anything else. But if you want to, like I can do this now. Yeah. Let's view the gallery. So I think this is the default. What else we got here? This is just showing some of the different screens from the different. You can see the name of the the actual theme in the image list. So usually it's like the name of the theme and then like a specific screen. So it's called clean look. Clean look, and this is the game list for it. It's called Color 01. Yeah. I want to see if I can find the one that I want to show you because it was. Forget if there's like a fast way to go through this. Maybe not. Can I go through like a fast screen or something? Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. Well. Just go through there and see if there's any that you like. Uh, I think there's like a few installed here by default. There's Carbon. Is it just Carbon? Okay, I thought there used to be more than just that installed. Well, I would show you another one, but this is already kind of dragging. This. You are changing. What? Get out of here. Okay. So one other thing that might be useful here is this thing called Scraper. Scraper will use these different sources that you set, and there's two by default, to take the name of the game and grab metadata about it. This is useful in some themes because some themes will actually show like the actual full description of the game, the genre, who made it, game box art, stuff like that. So I do scrape now, and you can kind of filter what to do. All games, only missing image, what consoles. So I'm gonna hit start. I wonder if I already found that one. Yep, Wonder Boy and Monster World. So you can select it, you can skip it. I'm gonna select it. I don't know if it displays that on here. Oh, it does. Oh, nice. So like, if you see, there's the metadata about it. There's the box art, when it was released, who made it, and then kind of like a brief synopsis of it. So I think that's all I really wanted to show you that I can show you right now for this. Again, finding the ROMs isn't that hard. Just Google around for like 5 seconds and you can find ROM. Go back here. Hello. Uh, if you like the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe. If you have any questions for me about what you can do on RetroPie besides just that, leave me a question in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer. If you'd like to follow me on other social media platforms, or also view my videos on other video platforms, I got links down below for that. If you would like to support the channel, and I would love you so much, I got links down there for that as well. And with that, y'all come on back now, and I'll see you next time.